we still loading.
I get those goosebumps every time, yeah, 713 to the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low-key. I'm sipping low-key and honest, rider. I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around me, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Off the mags. Yes, sir.
That is superb, lad. That is superb. Love that.
Not finished yet, but it'll do for now.
Work in progress. Brilliant. I love it. I love it. Well, hey,
Brilliant.
Welcome to the new intro, Loaded Mag NUFC, the full loaded transfer show. We weren't planning on doing a show tonight, but news comes at us very, very quickly, and so things change. So it was great to have nearly 200 of you already in the chat. Great to have you with us. Thank you for coming and joining us tonight as we talk all about it. So first of all, boys, how are we on this fine Thursday evening?
Not too bad. One day to go and then I'm on holidays. Yes, get it. And I got a ticket in the ballot as well. I was successful in the ballot. Yes, for Spurs. So I'll be over for a 24-hour day trip. Arrive at 7, leave at 7. So it's a mad dash for that Spurs game. But Tonali's return, hopefully. So looking forward to that. But how are you, Chris?
Good, mate. Yeah, a little bit hot. Not gonna lie, I played footy before, and I'm absolutely roasting still, even after my shower. But yeah, I'm all good, mate. It's been a lovely week off, and more importantly, I'm pleased because there's finally some wheels are in motion. Or it certainly feels that way, anyway. So yeah, really looking forward to chatting all things transfers this evening. But Pete, how are you, mate?
Yeah, all good. Can't complain. Weather was good today. I was saying to Daz before we went live. Same with you. Chris, but a little bit earlier on, I was doing some football training with my daughter, getting her ready for the new season. It was like peak of the heat of the day, so it was hot, clammy, humid. So it took a while to kind of like regulate the old temperature, body temperature. But other than that, can't complain. All good, and just really waiting for some news, and finally we've had something that we can discuss, and we'll get into it in just a second. But of course, we've got a lot of Toons in the house. We'll give them a bit of a shout out. We'll work through them as they appear, shall we do? So, Jimmy Watt, welcome. Thank you for your Toon. What was this for me? Okay, we'll hold that question on there because we'll come back to that. That's for sure. Bill. Great to have your Toon in there tonight. I love this from Luke. Toon squared. That's something that I would say. Absolutely, Toon squared. Love it. Absolutely love it. Great stuff. As well as that, we've got N9. Great to have you in there. Always supporting the channel. As well as Al and Anne. Great to have you in there with your Toons. Dorch Mag. I don't think I've seen Dorch Mag in there before, have we? If we haven't, welcome to the channel. We're great to have you in the chat at the very least. You probably watched the channel before, or I hope so. The Con Lad, great to have you with us. Vulcan Mag, Giniesta Wijnaldum, great to have you in with us. Nikolai G, and of course, our resident spanner in the house, along with Paul, Jordan 2 for life. We've got Steve, Connie, and William S. They're coming thick and fast. We've got GK in the house. We've got Mansell. We've got Kevin. We've got John. Is it?
Slow down. I'm trying to delete them as you're bringing them up on screen.
Great to have you in there, Dominic. And just to go back to William Smith, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, William.
Happy birthday, William.
Absolutely. Great to have you.
21 again.
Yeah, always 21 every year. Brilliant stuff. Thank you for all your tunes. Great way to kick off the show, that is for sure. And there's more coming through, the likes of Leon, Noxie, and others. But look, never normally want to start this off with a negative, but have to say some really sad news, not necessarily from a Newcastle United perspective, but from a football perspective, is that unfortunately Craig Shakespeare has passed away. Was part of the title-winning team at Leicester City as the assistant manager, then took over when Ranieri was sacked, and then continued during their Champions League season, which I think got them to the quarterfinals. Had various other clubs. I think he was assistant manager for Aston Villa as well for a period of time. But yeah, really sad news. A really well-respected coaching staff member to a lot of number of clubs, and highly rated as well. So only 60 years old, I believe. There might have been an illness of some form, although on the official statement they haven't stated that, but they have said that obviously there's been a few months of difficulty. So really sad news to hear. Obviously, being from Leicester, there's lots of people that I know that are talking about this. Lots of people in the chat have mentioned it as well. Obviously, it's going to have a massive effect on the Premier League in England, because he did have, for that sort of golden period for Leicester, a real big influence in what they did. And obviously they produced what was the miracle. They won the Premier League when nobody thought it was going to happen. So a little bit of sad news there, not Newcastle related, but obviously rest in peace, Craig Shakespeare. Don't know if you knew that, boys. Don't know if you knew it popped up before. So
just before it came live, we noticed it. Very sad, and no age at all, 60.
Exactly. Definitely, but I'm sure, and quite rightly so, the respects will be paid to Craig Shakespeare over the course of the days and weeks ahead as we build into the new season. No doubtly with the likes of Leicester and Aston Villa as well. However, boys, there has been some news. So just when we thought, and Luke Edwards asked the question the other day, he thought we were close to getting something done. He wasn't sure who it was going to be. Malik Thiaw, was it going to be someone out the blue? Well, it was, because Mike McGrath has reported, the first one to report it, that Newcastle are in advanced talks with the Denmark under-21s forward William Osula from Sheffield United. I'll get the storyboard going very quickly. Mark McAdam of Sky Sports then broke that news from Sky Sports' perspective, saying something very similar. And the deal is around 10 million with 5 million in add-ons. Keith Downey then reports it from a Newcastle perspective, saying something very, very similar. Luke Edwards then endorses that from Keith Downey. Interestingly here, not a name that he had heard, but talked about his profile there. Now, what's really interesting about this, boys, is I had Will Osula on the system.
Yeah.
And I didn't bring it up because we didn't get a chance to cover it in the previous show, and it was here from All Things Sheffield United. This was a few days ago, and this was from Alan Nixon, who predominantly reports for The Sun, has been right on a few things over the years. Remember, Fernandez, when he came from Swansea, I think he was the first one to report it, had said that we were making a shock move for Will Osula. So, look, boys, we wanted signings. It looks like the first one's coming through the door. What are your thoughts with regards to William Osula coming in to Newcastle United. 10 million with 5 million add-ons. What are your thoughts, boys?
What I don't know about William Osula up till about 2 hours ago. Look at he to me he's an unknown. But I when I'm looking at the video clips, looking at how he plays, kind of he has, to me, and no one else, I haven't heard anyone else describe him like this. I'm thinking João Pedro kind of mold about him. He's more of a striker than João Pedro is, kind of more winger than striker, but can play both. But that kind of a mold about him, and actually someone that Eddie Howe can mold into something a lot better as well, something to work with. We don't have an abundance of strikers coming through. We never seem to, or they always seems to be, like, think of the past, Adam Campbell. There was Elijah Sorensen, who's gone now to Portsmouth. He's back at Portsmouth. Yeah, there was all the next big thing, and then they never actually make it through. So we're going out and spending 10 million plus 5 million add-ons and trying to develop him. Well, I think he's perfect for second / third striker for us, and someone that look, Wilson is injured at the moment, and he'll probably be injured again when he does come back at some stage, and because it doesn't look like we're going to be getting rid of him or be able to get rid of him for now anyway. He'd be perfect to bring it, like we're 2-0 up in a game, or even 1-0 up, and Isaac is fading. Bring this lad on, let him hold the ball up, let him run out a few players as well. He doesn't have a particularly in his professional career to date, first team games, he doesn't have an outstanding stats on goals to date, but that will come in time. It's look at if both Mitchell and Eddie Howe are going for him. He's a tall lad as well. I think he's like 6'4". See, I know everything about him. And it's his birthday in 3 days' time. Did you know that? So he'll be 21. But if both of them are signing off him, hey, there must be something in him. Bring him on and let's see what he can do.
Chris, Daz has given his opinion on William Osula, giving some detail there about what he thinks with regards to the deal. What are your thoughts? What's your initial thought when you saw it pop up on socials? What was your initial thought?
My initial thought was I was intrigued. So I did exactly what Daz did. I went onto YouTube, had a little look at him. I obviously don't know much about him. I know he's currently playing for Sheffield United. I know he's had some Premier League appearances, some Championship appearances. But again, I didn't know much about him. Under 21 Norwegian international. So anyway, I watched the video footage of him on YouTube, and he's tall. He's kind of gangly. He looks like a player who's equally adept at using both feet as well. Like, I saw that he was right-footed, but in some of the highlights that I saw, he looks equally adept at using his left foot. And do you know what? The biggest compliment I can pay him, and this is obviously purely based off a 3.5-minute video or however long it was. When I was watching him, the first thing I thought was he reminded me of Isaac in the way that he moves, in the way that, you know, he's got good close ball control. Now, obviously, he's 20 years old. As Daz rightly said, you know, soon to be 21 in 3 days' time.
Great
age, mate.
Great age.
It is. But do you know what? Do you know what's baffled me since? Right, we've heard that this is very much a Paul Mitchell-driven signing. Whether that's true or not, we'll never really know, will we? But that's what we're led to believe. But the thing that's baffled me is I can't understand the negativity around the signing. I just don't get it. I mean, we've been saying, boys, for 6 to 12 months. I'm not saying everyone should agree with what we're saying, but I thought this was the general consensus of the fan base. We've been saying that we needed a third choice striker. We needed a young, up-and-coming striker who can fill in if Callum Wilson's injured, if Alexander Isak, you know, can't play, suspended, injured, whatever it may be. We said that we needed an extra body. And then it seems like we're going to go out and get that extra body. Yes, we're buying potential. You know, I think his transfer market value was 3 million. And obviously we're paying 10, rising to 15. But I like the negativity around it just stunned me. And people are going, oh, look, he's not scored, he's not assisted. It's like, he's 20 years old. He's made 21 appearances, senior appearances for Sheffield United. And by the way, 9 of those were starts, only 9. And I think he played something like 780 odd minutes. And when I divided it between the 21, it averages out at 37 minutes a game. And it's like, what are people expecting? I mean, yes, I know that, we've heard Dominic Calvert-Lewin being linked. We've heard Jonathan David being linked. We've heard about these established Premier League and also European strikers. But realistically, boys, if we're being truly honest with ourselves, we'd struggle to bring in a player of that caliber to come in and be third choice striker. We'd struggle. So I think we acknowledged, certainly on this channel, we acknowledge that really the best thing for us to do would be to go out and bring in a third choice striker who's up and coming, who can learn the ropes. This is what we were talking about for the right centre back as well. We were talking about Dean Huijsen, who's ended up joining Bournemouth. Someone who can learn the ropes from Fabian Schär for the first year. Is this not what this lad's going to be able to do? To learn the ropes from Alexander Isak, to learn the ropes from Callum Wilson? And then eventually when, Callum Wilson moves on, whether it be this summer, whether it be next summer, or maybe he gets another year, who knows? Will he not be ready then? Can he not have some cup games? 10 million nowadays rising to 15 is buttons. It's nothing at all. And if you're signing a young lad who looks a bit of a prospect, yes, his stats don't look brilliant on the face of it, but if this lad had made 21 senior appearances and scored 25 goals, do you think we'd get him for 10 million rising to 15? Of course we wouldn't. There's obviously, you're going to have to make some allowances, and because we're trying to box clever with the money we've got, I'm excited by it. I'll be honest, I'm excited by it because this is a player that the Newcastle hierarchy and Paul Mitchell clearly want. So to me, if that's a player that they want, and it's someone who's dipped the toe in Premier League football, done the hard yards in the Championship, and he's 20 years old, 6'4". Like Pete, I don't know if you heard what I was saying before me. I checked out the 3.5 minute video on YouTube of him. And again, maybe it's a bold statement to make at this early stage, but I can only go off what I'm looking at. He reminded me of Alexander Isak in the way that he kind of moves around, his stature, very, very good close ball control. This is only a 3.5 minute video I've watched. Obviously, I haven't seen him play live properly. I know he's played against Newcastle, but I've not actually studied him or watched him in detail. But certainly from what I'm looking at, like I don't see what's not to like. I really, really don't. And I've seen a few negative comments in the chat about it, and it's like, well, it feels like we're shooting the lad down before he's even holding the shirt up. Do you know what I mean? I think we've got to give him a chance. We've got to give him an opportunity. And I just think, let's give the lad a chance. But this, to me, I think this is a perfect signing. If you'd said to me, do you want someone like him or not bring anybody in? You're going to pick him every time, every single time. Now, it could turn out that he's absolutely rubbish, but I've got a feeling that he's not going to be. And if his transfer market value is 3 million and we've come in with 10 million rising to 15, clearly he must have something about him. And he's playing Premier League and Championship minutes at the age of 20. That looks like a good signing to me.
Yeah, you know what? I've just sent you and Daz a video of Osula, and just check out the goal that he scored the other day. And then tell me if that's not Alexander Isak.
Mate, he looks like Isak. He does.
Yeah. It's my initial thoughts. I was shocked. I was shocked. I thought it would be a more higher profile player. I think we all did, and I think that's maybe why there are some that have reacted differently. Is because I think we all expected a higher profile player to walk through the door, and it's a bit like, oh, okay. It's not anybody that we know. I don't really know anything about him. I've been lucky because I've had, since that news broke, one of my really close friends is a mad Sheffield United fan, goes to pretty much all of the games. And he's spoken about him before, but I've never really kind of taken any notice because we weren't really linked with him. And I've had an hour and a half conversation with him. He sent me a shed load of videos. He told me a little bit about him, which then gives me a little bit of background that maybe other people don't on him. And so I've now sort of come to terms with the fact that we're signing him. I'm a little bit like you. I'm excited about what he could potentially bring. Ultimately, I think that's where a lot of fans are. They're a little bit like, oh, you know, when you, like you just said, Chris, and Daz, you mentioned it as well. Like when you've been linked with the likes of, okay, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, lots of people didn't necessarily want him, but he's a high-profile player. When you're linked with Jonathan David, like you said, or one or two others, we've talked about Adeyemi as a striker that can play on the wing, like various others, and then you get someone that's not as well established, you are going to get those different reactions. However, what you are getting is someone that is absolutely explosive with pace. And this is not me, because I've not seen enough of him. I've seen a load of clips in the last hour or two, like everybody else probably has. I'm going off what my mate literally said to me. He said he's like, first and foremost, with regards to the stats, and he made this point to me with regards to stats. He said, don't look at the stats. He's been fast-tracked because of how good he is. He wasn't expected to be around the first team. And he, in his words, as a Sheffield United fan, he said, we protected him by not playing him as often as we could have, because our team last season was absolutely dog shit. They're basically his words. They protected him because they knew that team wasn't good enough, and you throw someone like that that's got potential out to the Wolves, and for a team that's getting smashed week in, week out, it could do negative to his ability. And that's coming from him. That's not me. That's coming from him. But the positives and what he talked about, first and foremost, he's absolutely gutted to lose him. Absolutely. And he said loads of Sheffield United fans on the forums and everything else. And to be fair, I've seen some on the forums and various other things in reaction to this. They are not happy that he's going, but they understand it because the opportunity to come to Newcastle United is too good to turn down. Equally, the money that we're offering is above his market value currently. So Sheffield United couldn't turn it down either. So these are the bits of the details that none of us maybe were aware of that I'm getting from a Sheffield United fan. So I said I would pass it on to you boys and pass it on to everyone in the chat. First things he said, absolutely rapid, explosive pace. And to be fair, from the clips I've seen, I can see it. Trickery. One key word that he mentioned to me, and I put it in the Geordies Down South chat when they initially reacted to this. The one key word that I was told about William Osula, forget stats, finisher. He's a finisher, a very good finisher. And he proved it in the under-21s where he was scoring for fun. And my mate then sent me a range of different clips saying, look at these. And the link that I've sent you to the York game, you watch his goal. His goal is Isaac-esque. But you watch some of the clips, and people who have seen it on social media now, the one thing you cannot deny about him is when he's put in front of goal, he is a demolition finisher. He finishes very, very well. That is an experience level finisher. Now, the one thing I'll say with that is that if you're putting him in a team that's going to be attacking, like Newcastle United, remember, third top goal scorers in the Premier League, doesn't matter whether it's for a half, whether it's for 20 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you're bringing him off the bench with electric pace, with the ability to finish in front of goal, he could potentially be a match winner for us in certain games. Like, he could be someone that creates something and actually does something. I'm not expecting him to be like this guy that's going to end up scoring 15 goals for us next season. Ultimately, and I don't know whether you agree with this, boys, I don't know whether people in the chat agree with this. We've got nearly 400 in the chat. I don't know whether you agree with this. I actually think bringing William Osula into the team makes me think that Callum Wilson's staying this season.
Yeah,
agree.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I said that there a few minutes ago that I don't think we're because he's injured as well. We're not going to be able to offload him. So then it comes to a case of January to do. But it's not, okay, maybe a team. Maybe if he's fully fit and someone is in desperate need of a striker, then we might be able to offload Wilson then. But I think he's probably going to stay with us. He's definitely going to stay with us till January. Wilson, no. And yeah, that's why this guy coming in, William Osula, is going to be pivotal to us, really, if you think about it. Because what if something happens to Isak? We've got no one. We were looking at moving Gordon, moving Barnes, maybe, or someone else into that kind of striker role, because we've got no other options. We need someone, and give him a chance. Give him a chance. I know people have said in the chat as well. I'll go to a few of the comments. That they'd rather him than Don Calvert-Lewin. I agree with that. And he's young and he's raw. We can mold him. We can get. He's not injury prone yet, at least. So and also Ginesta Wijnaldum says it reminds him a bit of Eki Teki. Remember Eki Teki? That's why I said João Pedro as well. That kind of can play in different roles. Also, David H mentions hire a director who specializes in finding raw talent equals good. Said director buying someone who he thinks is a raw talent equals bad. So our fans are comical. So you have to give things a chance as well. Yeah. It may not work out. If it doesn't, then we can sell him on again. And maybe take a small loss on him or something. But give him a chance.
Yeah. No, totally agree.
Absolutely. But we do. And maybe I'm guilty with that with Madueke, but I've seen enough of Madueke to form that judgment. I think with a player of Osula's ability, that we haven't seen anything of, and we're kind of going off what Sheffield United fans are saying and what other people are saying. I think that deserves an opportunity. And we have to remember, like, that is a third choice option there that we've got. We've got a super chat from Luke. Do you want me to put it on the screen, Daz?
And I've got. I think it's related man as well.
It's related to what we're talking about. It said, "Thank you, Luke, first and foremost for your super chat. This lad has all the attributes. He's moldable. I like that word. Mitchell has a track record signing unknowns who come good, and Howe has one making players better." Now, just to add to that, what I wanted to bring in here is this, and this was a little snippet from Luke Edwards' piece that he wrote on the fact that William Osula is likely to sign for Newcastle United, and he said this: "Sources have told Telegraph Sport that the deal has been driven by Newcastle's new sporting director, Paul Mitchell, who believes Osula will thrive under Howe's coaching and will eventually become a first choice forward in the Premier League." So exactly what Luke's just said in that super chat, thank you again for that. It's been driven by Paul Mitchell. And who are we to argue against one of the most sought after sporting directors? And we're incredibly lucky to have him. If he's driving this and saying, you know what, we need to get this guy, who are we to kind of argue with that? So I don't know what. Are there any other comments from people that are kind of giving their thoughts and opinions on William Osula? Share them.
Let's go to Kev Tay, who has one for you, Chris. He reminds me of a tall Kubo. What else are you about for Chris?
Oh God.
Jimmy Watt says, would you rather have Wood or Osula? I'd rather Osula because the potential, and even though Wood did score a hat-trick against us, he did a job when he was here with us first. But yeah, it's an easy answer.
We're in a different moment now, boys. Like, Wood was very much to keep us in the Premier League, and you know, he scored one or two crucial goals that helped us on the way. Fair play to him. Did his job to help us fight in the top four up until he was sold off in that season. He did his job for Newcastle United. Well, I don't think any Newcastle fan would want him back. We're moving forward now, and we're looking at buying kind of, you know, the future talent rather than someone that's in their 30+ years old. If we're looking at 30+ years old, boys, we'd be looking at Fulkrug at Borussia Dortmund.
31, yeah.
31 years old, going to be 32 soon. Like, if we were looking at 30+, if we were looking at that experience mold, you'd go and sign someone like that.
That's dead money, though.
Exactly. Exactly what I was going to say, Daz. No resale value. That's what we'd look for. However, in this situation, we are definitely looking to the future, and this is really important. Sorry, Daz, go on.
Yeah, no, I just want to say as well, thanks, Anne. She's gifted not one, but two memberships in the chat as well. She's always looking after the chatters. Thanks, Anne, for always looking after them. Can't look after themselves.
Love it. A couple of ones from Dale. I think it's the same Dale account, although the writing's slightly different. Same picture though. Dale. Oh, sorry. I was just going to bring this up just because I'd noticed it earlier. Apologies, mate. He says Kylian Mbappe would have struggled last season playing for Sheffield United. Which
fair point.
Dale, absolutely valid point. You're absolutely right. And another Dale, or the same Dale, Capitals Dale, has put, if you think the whole Red Bull recruitment model, they'll smash signings from that part of Europe. Mitchell helped to build that recruitment start there. And we did talk about that, boys, when Paul Mitchell came into the club. We talked about the fact that, he will have the experience of that area of the market. So just a couple of points there from Dale that I thought were valid points as well. It's an interesting one. So we think Osula's coming in, meaning Wilson's going to stay at the club. That might be an easy answer, but that rules out the likes of Jonathan David. Any other striker options? That is this now our striker option for the season? Quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, it does because Wilson's no one's going to buy Wilson when he's injured or just after coming back from that operation. So that is our three strikers now going into the start of the season, and that's fair enough because don't forget we still have that big, and I'm still expecting them to go absolutely massive on a right winger. Don't know who it is. Maybe Morgan Gibbs-White can play on the wing if you squint a bit, So yeah, we're still going to go big in the right winger. We're still going to expect news any time now on the right centre back as well. I think that has to be the next one that happens, and then it's a big one then on the right wing. And it lines up with what Graham Bailey said as well. He preached to us there about Newcastle going big on that right wing position. So, but yeah, no, to answer your question, Pete, that's our strikers.
Okay, got 400 in the chat. Make sure you're clicking that like. I know the mods in the chat. I know Lisa put a comment in earlier. Let's get those likes up. Thank you all for supporting the channel. 410 plus watching right now. If you're new to the channel, we've seen some new faces in the chat tonight. Don't forget to click that subscribe button. Welcome to the Lodi family. Welcome to the community of the chat live. We have some great comments and questions every single show that we do, and lots and lots of regulars in there. Some are not, but all your comments are valued as well. So we've established that we don't think another striker's coming in, boys. However, for a player in William Osula who can also play on the left and right. So for example, Chris, I'll mention this to you because you touched on sort of an Isaac kind of similarity in the way he plays. The clip that I've just sent to you boys for the game against York, he actually plays on the left. So that game he plays on the left and he comes in off the left-hand side. There's another couple of clips that I'll send to you in just a second where he plays on the right as well. So he is well-versed on playing either side of the forward line, but he can play as a frontline striker. The concerns from certain people, certain Newcastle fans on social media, which is the next question, Chris, because he is so versatile, are you worried that this could mean that we don't go big on a right winger, or do you still think that right wing is a position that we're going to strengthen between now and the end of August? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Make no mistake about it. This, for me, this isn't a right wing replacement, or this isn't going to hamper our right wing prospects, in my opinion. Like this is purely to beef the squad out. We've all been saying how much we badly need, that third choice striker. So for me, that's predominantly what he's going to be. The fact that he can play on the left, the fact that he can play on the right, that's just a bonus, in my opinion. Again, when we see him, starting matches, maybe that's something we'll do. Maybe we will pop him on the left or the right in a cup game or something like that. But I think predominantly we're going to play him through the middle. We know Alexander Isak can play on the left, but his best position's through the middle. So I think that's probably what we'll do with Osula. I honestly, boys, I'm just gobsmacked that there's any negativity around this at all. I'm genuinely gobsmacked. I mean, it's a low risk buy. I mean, Daz mentioned it before. You know, say we buy this lad for 10 million rising to 15, it doesn't work out. We'll probably sell him for about 8-9 million, even if it doesn't work out. You can easily move him on, if not make a profit. You know, because even if he looks half decent, but we get to the point in maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, and we go, do you know what? He's not quite going to make the grade, or he hasn't kicked on quite how we hoped he would. I mean, look at Liverpool getting, what was it? They got 19 million for Brewster, who went to Sheffield United. Solanke, I think they got 20 million for him. At the time, obviously, he's kicked on, and now Solanke's, you know, gone up a couple of levels.
I'm surprised.
But, yeah, I mean, look at Chelsea. Chelsea are wanting 30 million for Brozier. You know, this we've got to look ahead and think where we're going to be in 2 or 3 years' time. This is very much a development signing. It could either pay off, or it may not pay off. If it does pay off, and we all know how expensive strikers are, if it does pay off, and in 2 or 3 years' time, if this lad is starting to push Isak, or he's starting to come off the bench more regularly and stuff like that, could have saved ourselves 40-50 million, boys, if not more. You know, for me, I like the signing. Again, I can't dwell too much on the little clips I've seen, Pete. I'm looking forward to watching the clips that you've sent me, but everything about him just looks pretty decent to me. Like I can't really see the problem with it. I think this is a signing which is filling a gap. It's maybe a precautionary signing so that we've got someone directly under Wilson and Isak. I still fully believe that we're going to spend the majority of our money on the right wing and the right centre back. I still firmly believe that. I think I said I could see 2 or 3 new signings coming in. Hopefully, this is the extra one. We still need that right winger and right centre back, in my opinion. We really, really do. Even if we bring in another development right centre back, you know, with another development signing, and it is the right centre back position. The one that I'm non-negotiable on, the one that we need to upgrade on, is the right wing position. It needs to be a player who comes in and makes an immediate impact. We've seen Jacob Murphy have a really, really good pre-season.
Someone backup for Jacob Murphy, I think you're talking about there, yeah?
No, but this is kind of what I mean. Like, Jacob Murphy has had a good pre-season, and full credit to him. And for me, he'll probably start the season at right wing. Even if we bring someone in, Jacob Murphy probably deserves to start the season in right wing, because given that it's 16 days away, I think even if we sign someone tomorrow, you probably wouldn't throw the new right winger in immediately.
Sit down there, Rafinha. Sit on the bench.
Yeah, no, but you know, they've got to be eased in, haven't they? We've seen Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe likes to ease players in. He doesn't just throw them in. So I think Jacob Murphy will start at the right wing, but when we get to September, October, boys, that's where you're up it. That's where you go up a level. Bringing Jacob Murphy off the bench, fantastic. Bringing Jacob Murphy on the last 10 minutes to see a game out, fantastic. Starting Jacob Murphy week in, week out, it's not good enough. He's not consistent enough. But having Jacob Murphy as an option, brilliant. Great.
Wow. What Rafinha, what a replacement for Matt Ritchie on that bench, though. Unreal. Sorry, Pete.
No, I was going to say it's a valid point that you made, Chris, with regards to not throwing players in. Like, you go back to Botman, you go back to Bruno being on the bench for 7 games before he eventually got in. Yeah. Like, I think even Byrne took a little bit of time to get into the team. Like, I think maybe only Trippier was thrown straight in. Like, there's not been many that have kind of been thrown straight into the team.
But he came in, Pete, at the very start of the window, didn't he? He had a full pre-season. We're talking about 15 days time. You know, first Premier League game. You know, we can't afford to do that.
And you got to talk about as well. You know, Anthony Gordon talked about it. Tino talked about it. Lewis Hall talked about it. It's not just coming in and being match fit, it's being Eddie Howe match fit. And I think this is why they're taking their time with Lloyd Kelly, is that they're trying to make sure that he's 100% ready. There was concerns about Willock being injured again. Look at Willock the other day. It's because they've taken the time with him, and he came on, had that first 45 minutes yesterday and was fantastic. Like, it's because they're taking their time with him, making sure that when he's ready, he's going to be ready to go, but ready to go long term. And you're right, you know, whoever comes in a right wing, and I agree with you, I think a right winger absolutely comes in. I apologize to Nikolai, who said in the chat, don't even suggest that, Peter, but that Osula is the right wing option. I apologize, but I'm just throwing it out there as a question. I believe a right wing is coming in. It almost feels to me, boys, although some people, some sections of the fan base are kind of despondent with it and a little bit disappointed the fact that Osula's coming in, it's not a high-profile player, he's only coming in for 10 million. Just remember, if he's coming in for 10 million, for me, it means that we've got more money to spend elsewhere. And it means that in those positions, we've known this. You people, I want to talk about this separately, talk about other teams, and we'll come back to this to that in a second. But there are, we've known right from the beginning of the summer, we've even laid it out, squad game, Daz, when you put that together, we made it absolutely clear the positions that we wanted. If Wilson went, striker in. To be fair, we talked about it the other week. If he doesn't and he stays, a third choice. That seems to be happening. We need a right centre-back, priority. We need a right wing, priority. We needed a left-back that can also cover centre-back. Lloyd Kelly's in, done. Like, we've literally gone and we're going about our business. The two positions that need filling in now are right centre-back and right wing. And the fact that we haven't spent a lot of money, obviously the 28 of Hall we expected, but the fact that we haven't spent a lot of money elsewhere means that the rest of our money is probably going to go on those two positions. That excites me. Excites me to the point that balloons just popping up behind me because I'm excited. I'm excited because it means that we're going to spend money on these two positions, and it can only be a good thing for us because they're going to be first team players, guys.
Yeah, just on that, right? Let's play it out in another scenario. Let's say we brought it, like everyone is expecting. I think this is probably why people are a bit pissed off. Like everyone was expecting Paul Mitchell's first signing to be massive. And let's say that the right winger. Let's say if we did bring in the right winger first, spent 60 million. Then we brought in the right centre back, spent 30 million, and then we brought in William Osula. Then that wouldn't be an issue. People wouldn't have be so disappointed, I suppose, is the word. But it has to happen in this way because this is the way that they're falling. And as you said, Pete, they're working everything out. But also, if they had done it that way and they spent the 60 million and the 30 million, they've already spent 90 million. Is the club going to go, they still have loads of money? Let's go. Let's push that fee up a bit more. Let's push them a bit harder. They're obviously have loads of cash. They're after spending dropping 90 million already. So. Just bear that in mind as well, that the order of it happened, and the big ones are still to come.
Definitely. Any comments or questions in the chat before we kind of look at one or two other bits?
Let's go to Nobby Clark with Super Chat. Cheers, Nobby. 499 Super Chat. Surely Paul Mitchell isn't going to drop a stinker in his first signing. It's all good, lads and lasses. This will be a corker. So agree with that one, Nobby. Thanks very much. Also, super sticker from Michael McIntyre as well. Cheers, Michael. And Nick says on his 12-month membership post, can you tell my son Spencer it's bedtime? It's bedtime, Spencer. Get to bed. What time do you call this? Depending on where you are, it's 8:45.
I like that, depending on where you are. Absolutely. I just want to read this just because if anyone that's new to the channel won't probably have seen the show that we do that'll be coming back very shortly, the Away Days match preview. where we preview with opposition fans and their fan channels. Nick from the Sheffield United Way, you would have seen him last season. He came on and joined us boys in the preview to both games. He's just wrote me a little something, and I'll read it out to you about Osula. Quite balanced. Some areas good, some areas, of course, he's 20 areas that you need to improve on. So I'll read it to you, and you guys can assess those points and what he said. So I asked him just to give an initial thought on him based on the news tonight, and he says Osula's a young raw talent. Hasn't yet been able to hold down a starting place either last season or when we were really, really bad in the Premier League, or the season before when we were really good. He's quick, he's strong, he puts himself about, he never ever gives up. He scored loads of goals at youth level, but hasn't yet found his scoring touch at first team level, which we knew about anyway. Other than the cups, I think when they played in the cups, he scored a few goals. I think he has everything to be a brilliant striker, but he's not scored a league goal for us yet. I think this season is a big one. He expects him to sign, if he signs for Newcastle, to be loaned out. That's his opinion, to get first team games. But he's put as his closing points, I'll be disappointed if we sell him, as I'm a big fan. And think he'll come really good. But 10 million plus for a player that hasn't scored a league goal yet could help us buy 3 or 4 players in the Championship. Now, if anybody doesn't know Sheffield United's situation, they've had about 10, I know, in fact, I think it's about 15 players that have left the club. Like, they've only got literally about 10 or 11 like first team players available. So they've lost a lot of the players and they need to sign other players. A lot of those players left on free transfers, players that they were their first team established. So if they're going to get 10 million in for him, they need to take that, because that money they can reinvest elsewhere. So that's the point that Nick's making there, is that if we get 10 million, we have to take it, because we need to strengthen for our Championship season. But he'll be absolutely gutted to lose him, and that's the general consensus. My mate said exactly the same. Other Sheffield United fans are saying the same. They don't want to lose him because they can see the talent that he is. He might not be there yet, producing it where he'd be starting for us, and he wouldn't, because Isaac's number one. But if he's going to learn from us, learn from Eddie Howe, they think he could be a top player. So that's just a little snippet there from Nick. Thank you to Nick from the Sheffield United. So that's just a little something to add in there. I don't know what you boys think of that, those points. Does that change your mind in any way? Does that confirm your thoughts in any way? What you're thinking about that, boys?
It confirms what I'm thinking already. But the only thing I disagree with, great to have that perspective as well from someone that's seen him play and watch anytime he's been playing, probably has seen him. But he's not going to go out on loan, because we can't afford for him to go out on loan. If Wilson wasn't injured, then you could think maybe you might gamble and send him out on loan for 6 months. But no, maybe if Wilson's back in and this operation cures him and makes him not be as injury prone for the little while he's going to be with us, then you might consider sending him out on loan. But I think he's with us for the season, and see how that goes. But yeah, no, all positive thoughts. Chris?
Yeah, no, I feel exactly the same way he does. I think he's got, to use an Eddie Howe expression, or something that's often been attributed to Eddie Howe, I think he's got to have a look at him. I think he's got to stay with us till at least January. It could be that, Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak both stay fit, and we go, right, so between now and January, no problems at all. Then maybe look to loan him out. But I don't think it's going to be like a Yankuba Minter signing where we bring him in and then loan him out immediately, because let's be honest, we've all been moaning. The big thing that we were all moaning about at the back end of last season was the fact that we had nobody as a backup for Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak. And wouldn't it just be a catastrophe if we signed this lad, he went out on loan, and then Callum Wilson or Alexander Isak got injured like early on? Like that would just be a nightmare. So I think he's going to stay with us till at least January. See where we go. See how things are. Could even be that he stays the season, and then in the summer they go, do you know what? Callum Wilson's leaving now. He's on a free, assuming he doesn't sign a new contract. And they go, right, we're going big on a second striker. And by the way, we'll let Osula go. Let him go out on loan. You know, he's trained with the lads. He's had the full season. He needs to go and play some football. He needs to go and play. You know, get some minutes under his belt. But for now, I think he comes in, and I think he'll be a part of the squad. I really, really do.
Yeah, I think he'll be part of the squad. I don't see him. I don't see him going out. I'd be, if we're going to keep Callum Wilson, I'd be disappointed if we do loan him out and we don't have a third option in.
Yeah.
It's very clear to me. It's either you let Callum Wilson go and get in a better level of striker to supplement Alexander Isak, or if you're going to keep Callum Wilson, you get this third option in there. And like I say, it's what we've already talked about. We've got a friendly face that's joined us in the chat all the way from Japan. Lee from Newcastle Fans TV is in the house.
Oh, welcome, Lee.
I just put his comment on the.
Konnichiwa.
He's put a couple of comments on. First of all, he put Chris's background looks like Japan cooking. Reference to the fire in the background. I'm not going to lie. I don't envy your levels of humidity. I thought it was bad here, not being able to sleep because it's crazy humid. But over there, it sounds like it's just unbearable at times. I heard one person say this. Sometimes it's like hard to breathe. The humidity is so clear. But so kind of like dense, should I say? Sorry, Daz. There's another comment here from Lee as well. He put that Osula turns 21 tomorrow. Not a fan.
You're wrong, Lee. You're wrong. It's the 4th of August.
Oh.
Don't like correcting you, Lee.
Sunday.
Yeah. You heard it here first, Lee. Sunday is the day. Not a fan personally. If he's happy to be third choice, but surely there's better players. Look, I know you've just joined us late because you can't get to sleep. But go back and listen to the discussion from before with us boys. We've kind of addressed that with regards to whether it would be third choice and are there better players out there. I think we've kind of covered.
Well, if Lee wanted to sleep, he should have gone to Disneyland with Adam P. and John Sinclair. That's what they were today. Check it out.
Oh, there you go. You've heard it here first as well. All the updates on Japan coming from Loaded Mag NUFC. It makes sense. Interesting one here. Question. I'm stealing them from you, Daz. I apologize, but I just thought it was an interesting one from Andy Ford that I just wanted to ask you boys. But question. I'm worried there's not much left to spend. We've already coughed up 60 million. Hall 28. Vlachodimos, I need to come back to that because I'm not sure about that 22. Osula 10 million. If our budget is 100 million, it only leaves 40 million for a right winger and a centre back. Worrying. I'm not sure about that Vlachodimos. There's been no confirmation of that at all. Just speculation. But what would you make of the question, boys?
Not much left to spend. No. There's still plenty left to spend, and there's plenty of sales as well that have to go through. So not worried about that side of things, and we can balance the book some other way as well. So I wouldn't be worried about that. We've also more sponsors to come in. And wasn't there? I know it won't be a massive, but every little helps. It wasn't there for the Japan trip. There was a partner announced for that as well. Savoy Games or something like that.
Which interestingly, it's a PIF owned company.
Friends.
Yeah, friends sponsor, but it's the tour sponsor. So it's a sponsor for the tour. So remember we had the airline sponsor, Saudi, when we had our initial trip to, I think it was Saudi Arabia when we went for our mid-season sort of break. I think it's one of them that whilst we're away, we've got like a sponsor there, and they'll.
Yeah, actually, it was Lee that practically broke that news, because I think he spotted them photographs being taken. So well done, Lee.
Always on the ball. Always on the ball. A couple of other things to talk about. A few noises around transfers. We're still waiting on news with regards to Malik Thiaw. I don't know if you managed to watch the game yesterday versus Real Madrid or this morning, early hours. Malik Thiaw did start. He played again. I think he played something like 78, 80 minutes against Real Madrid. AC Milan won 1-0, so clean sheet for him. Interestingly, boys, he played on the left side of the centre backs and actually played really well. Now, there's been lots of rumours around centre backs. Malik Thiaw's the one everybody's talking about. A few little murmurs that other centre backs could be considered. Do you still think that Malik Thiaw deal will be the one maybe next after Osula that will be done?
I do, but they have a habit of surprising us as well. Now, I still expect it to be Malik Thiaw. There was another one that we talked about ourselves on outside of a show, but haven't heard anything on that. So, yeah, you would imagine it's Thiaw.
Yeah. Don't know if you managed to watch the game, Daz or Chris, against Real Madrid. See any highlights? Did you manage to catch it at any point?
No, I have work to do. Work, Pete. I'm not on holidays like you. I'm on holidays on Saturday.
It was like 1:30 in the morning. So like, yeah, but so I get it. I understand it. I have to say, boys, I'd only seen a small sample size of him beforehand anyway. I was really impressed with him. I thought he played really well. He got a high rating as well. Made a couple of really good recovery tackles. Endrick, who's dubbed to be this next big thing, he kept him very, very quiet in that game. He handled him really, really well. He was actually quite impressive to see. So it hasn't changed my thoughts. It's reaffirmed it for me. Really, I'd be really, really excited to see him in. You know, we obviously had Alessandro on the show, and a lot of people that follow the channel and watch the channel and watch that particular show were a little bit concerned after his comments with regards to Malik Thiaw. But any concerns were gone after I saw that performance, because I thought he was good against the European champions. So that was an interesting one. But Chris, if Malik Thiaw wasn't the option, would you consider Joe Gomez? The reason why I say that is because all of this stuff is historical. Right? I have to get that out first. All of this stuff is historical, but apparently, and I'm going to use those quotation marks, apparently, Newcastle were close to signing him for 45 million as part of the Anthony Gordon deal. Now, obviously, that's collapsed. It's not happening. Isn't happening. Anthony Gordon is staying at Newcastle United. We all know that. But would you consider going back in, if we ever did go in initially, to sign Joe Gomez, in your opinion?
From what I've seen of Joe Gomez, I think is he an upgrade on the likes of Jamal Lascelles? Yeah, he is. Is he worth the 50 million that apparently Liverpool were going to value him at if we were trying to get Anthony Gordon? I think they were. Liverpool fan channel was saying, "Oh yeah, 30 million plus Joe Gomez for Anthony Gordon." I think that's overstretching it a bit. I'd say Joe Gomez is probably a 35 million centre half. So probably similar price to Malik Thiaw, even though Malik Thiaw is probably a little bit cheaper. I think Joe Gomez is a decent player. I do actually feel a little bit sorry for him in that he doesn't get a regular run in the Liverpool team, and the times that he does, he actually looks half decent. He's got a lot of good attributes. He's quite quick. He can play left back as well as playing, centre back. I think he's also played right back as well. So he's very versatile. yeah, the price would be the stumbling block for me, because I think if Liverpool wanted anywhere near 50 million, like, just no chance, absolutely no chance. I mean, my close red mates, you know, they don't. He doesn't pull up any trees for them. Do you know what I mean? I think they acknowledge that, you know, he's a half decent player. I think they're more interested in Jarell Quansah, if I'm honest. I think they think he's probably got a higher ceiling. But if the price was right for Gomez, you know, me personally, you know, I think he's probably worth 25, 30 million, maybe 35 at a push. But certainly nowhere near 50 million. And obviously, if it meant us losing Anthony Gordon, I wouldn't want that. But yeah, I mean, do I think he moved to Newcastle? Probably not, because I don't think Liverpool, I'll be deadly honest, I don't think Liverpool will want to do any business with Newcastle other than buying our players. I don't think they'd want to help us out in any way. But Joe Gomez would be a decent centre half, don't get me wrong, but I just think there's better out there for the money that you'd pay for him.
Yeah. Daz, Joe Gomez, what you thought? See, I know you gave an F off when it first came on the screen, but like, what are your thoughts about Joe Gomez as a potential option?
I'm sick of all these stupid Liverpool stories and rumors that linking Gordon and this player and that player and all this kind of stuff. I'm just absolutely sick of it. Joe Gomez is a player. Yeah, good player. But I don't think we go and buy an established Premier League player from a Liverpool and help them out as well. Because we're we don't know what way Liverpool are going to be this season. It is Arne Slot coming in. They're going to have a bit of a transition. I'm hoping that they're going downward trajectory and we start to go up. And we're going to be battling close to them, so I don't want to help them in any way. So I'd shop elsewhere, no matter how good he is. But I'd rather do our own thing.
I'm not a massive fan of Joe Gomez. I just, he hasn't done enough over a longer period enough of time for me to even warrant anywhere close to that sort of fee that was reported. I just wouldn't pay it. I wouldn't. I just think there's a better option. We've just talked about Malik Thiaw. There's other centre backs that we've been linked with over the course of summer that I just think are a better option. First and foremost, after all this nonsense stuff that all the Liverpool accounts have been shouting out about Anthony Gordon, I just won't give him any money. I don't want to give him any money. I'm the same with Chelsea though. Like as you've just said that, and as we've said last season about Chelsea, like if we want Liverpool to go that way and we go up, and we want to go above Chelsea after last season and the season before that, why would we then strengthen them? I wouldn't. Like, and no matter how much we admire a player of theirs, I'd rather just look elsewhere. I just would. I'd rather look elsewhere of any of those clubs. But am I wrong in thinking that, Chris? Thinking away from the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, even if there's a player that Newcastle admire, rather looking elsewhere. It's the same with like Man United. Then we've been linked with Dean Henderson and Lingard and Scott McTominay. Thank God that didn't happen. And one or two others. It's like, should we be thinking away from those clubs that we're almost going to be in the same ballpark with?
Yeah, I think it's something we've got to consider, Pete. I think it's a fair point. These days, you know, PSR being so prominent in the football market, you've got to be aware that if you go in and you go to, a fellow rival, if you like, and you go and sign a player off them for 40, 50, 60 million, whatever the price may be, you're basically opening the war chest for them, aren't you? That's basically what you're doing. All the money, the big money signings predominantly come from the Premier League. And, you know, if you go and sign a rival player, yes, it might be a player that you really, really want, but you're effectively opening up their transfer dealings for the summer. And I think this is why we've been quite clever in the past. You know, like we saw the Chris Wood signing from Burnley. We saw the release clause, we acted on it, and we knew that it weakened a relegation rival. And that's exactly what it did. And Burnley ended up being the ones who went down and we stayed up. And thankfully, it was in part because of, you know, the role that Chris Wood played at Newcastle, but also the fact that we weakened Burnley by signing him. And you can look at it now at the other end of the table, and thankfully we are looking up at the other ends of the table rather than down. But, you know, this is why it would be advantageous to go and sign, like a Morgan Gibbs-White or someone like that, because obviously I would imagine, and I think it's fair to say, no disrespect to Forest, they're not really going to be our rivals next season. So signing other Premier League players, but from clubs who are, a bit further away from Newcastle, absolutely fine. Pedro Neto at Wolves being another. They're clubs that we're hoping to kind of surpass and go past. But if you're talking the top 4, top 5 clubs in the league, are you really going to want to help them out? Are you really going to want to, allow them to be able to do other deals? I'm not so sure. So for me personally, I think it would be better to try and stay away from those clubs if we can. I mean, we've already seen that Chelsea are trying to do a deal for Conor Gallagher, aren't they, with Atletico Madrid? And if they were to get 40 million in for Conor Gallagher, that would certainly help them. It'd, allow them to go and spend elsewhere. So for us to be giving them that money, I think it would work as a negative. And it could be that's why, Liverpool allegedly were trying to offer us Joe Gomez, so that the big portion of that transfer fee was kind of consumed by Joe Gomez. If they're only giving us 30 million, don't forget we bought Anthony Gordon for 40 rising to 45 million, which we may have already paid the 45 million. Say the 5 million was Champions League qualification. I don't know, but say it was. If we get 30 million in cash for Anthony Gordon, that's only going to pay off what we've already outlaid for him. So we're not actually benefiting financially. But if we were to get 80 million cash off Liverpool for Anthony Gordon, that's a different kettle of fish, because then it allows us to go and spend. And will Liverpool want to do that? Probably not. So not only is it us not dealing with them, but it's them not dealing with us.
I agree. And with regards to the financial side of it that you've just mentioned, I agree with that as well. From the fact that you took him from a player that wasn't even in the Everton squad, barely getting a game, right, to not only giving him a game, but getting him in double figures for goals and assists, then getting him England caps, then getting him into the Euro squad, albeit he only played a few minutes, but that progression over 18 months deserves profit for Newcastle United. If we're ever going to sell him down the road, we need to be making profit on that 100%, because he deserves it. We've put him in a position where he's a winger now that's being seen at the top of the Premier League. From the point in which we signed him, where he was fighting relegation with Everton. So, no, I agree with that absolutely. Something a little bit different, boys, that popped up from Ben Jacobs. Now, it had been rumbling a little bit, and Ben Jacobs, when he was last on with us, mentioned it. Ben Jacobs will be coming back to us a load of Mega NUFC very soon as well. And it's this. He wrote this today. PIF have held exploratory talks with 777 to discuss acquiring a club. PIF affiliated Surge also involved in the talks. Newcastle likely to form a leading part of a multi-club model. Follows a non-PIF Saudi group trying to buy a majority stake in Monaco. So interesting news with regards to Newcastle potentially being part of that multi-club model. Now, it touches in there, boys, around sort of a non-PIF Saudi group trying to buy a majority stake in Monaco. In your opinions, is that what we need to be doing right now in terms of our development as a club and developing further out as a multi-club? And would Monaco, although it's non-PIF that are interested in him, would Monaco be a club that you would like Newcastle to acquire? Or is there another club out there that you think, you know what, we need to be looking at them and trying to potentially buy them? What are your thoughts, Daz?
Okay, well, I don't think it's anything to do with us, because it's what PIF want. We would just be a cog in that multi-club model, a fairly big cog. You would hope, and you'd hope we'd be the shining light. But the multi-club model, I read that article as well, that there was talk of Monaco at one stage, and then you could see the links in with Paul Mitchell as well, that he has a very good understanding of Monaco, having been there for a number of years. Then there's also talk of Johan Spars, even who we talked about for the sporting director role, of him maybe even coming back into the picture and having a role if they went down that multi-club model, even though that's something that Paul Mitchell is already used to doing. He did it with RB Leipzig. But then there's also mentions a number of other clubs in the articles, Red Star FC, second division in France, they're not too long formed, and Standard Liège in the Belgian Pro League. They're around for about 65 years or so. But so yeah, that I suppose the big thing, bringing it back to the question you had about is it how will it affect us, kind of basically. I suppose whoever is the big link up with Newcastle United, because in that article as well, it talks about 777 and they have a number of clubs under their portfolio, and maybe PIF break that up and only bring one of them strong links with Newcastle, then let's say. So it needs to play out another bit. We all, when the takeover went through first, was something that we thought that would be rapid enough that would happen, that would down the Man City way, that they have a number of different clubs all over the world. But interesting to see how it does play out. I think for now though, we focus on Newcastle, so we'll be doing anyway. But we'll focus on getting back towards the top 5, trying to get into the Champions League, making sure Eddie Howe stays, making sure we get a few signings over the line. We can't control anything. We can't control that either. But we can't control who PIF are going to buy. But as long as we're their main centerpiece, then we've got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, Chris, as I said, as long as we're their main centerpieces, that said, like, does it even matter? Like, do we need to care about a sort of a multi-club model? To be fair, since Ben Jacobs put that out, not many Newcastle fans have really talked about it. Is it really that big of a deal for Newcastle United? Is that the priority right now?
I don't think it's that much of a big deal. I think it would be handy. In terms of like player development. So obviously we could send players out to a club who we kind of linked with. So I think it would have its benefits. But also I'm not concerned that we wouldn't be the main focus of PIF. And the reason I say that is because we're lucky in that Newcastle United are part of the richest and best league in world football. So I think we will remain as the main priorities, even if they were to go and buy a club in Spain or Belgium or France or whatever. I still believe that PIF will see the Premier League as the hotspot, like the main place for football at this present moment in time. So I think that's to our advantage. If there was to be like a multi-club model, as I say, I think it'll just benefit us in that we may have first option on any youngsters that are coming through, or we might have 3 or 4 players, who aren't far off the first team but need a little bit of development. And if we're able to send them to another club, a club that we can keep a close eye on them, a club where we know they're going to get minutes, we know that there's trust there, that one, we play like a similar way to them, or that we know that they're going to give the players minutes and they're going to invest the time in the players. That would be beneficial to Newcastle. But in terms of the overall bigger picture, I don't really see it affecting us that much day to day, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I agree with both points. I think it's not high upon Newcastle United's priority, but obviously if it does happen, there will be definitely benefits, as you touched on, Chris, with regards to it. It's all a case of wait and see. The only time for me where I go, oh, okay, let's have a look at this, is when it actually gets announced. When we know that we've actually got a club, like
we've enough to worry about.
Yeah, until it happens, it is what it is. Like the speculation can stay speculation, but it's interesting to see. And actually, who we get as our first club as part of that multi-club model will tell us in the direction we're going to go. If it turned out to be someone like Monaco, or someone in the French league, like for example, I think we touched on Bordeaux the other show, and it's been mentioned already. It's been confirmed they've moved down to the 4th tier of French football now because they've just declared bankruptcy. But if you went and got Bordeaux right now and you rebuilt them and you use some of the players to be able to build through. And they've had some good young players come through in their time, and good players come through their ranks. We've signed players. I think we signed, I forgot his name now. Gouffran. I think we signed Johan Gouffran from
we did.
And there's been top players that have come through into England from there during that time. So, who's to say we can't use them as a model? But that's just an example. But it's one that we can continue to monitor and see how it goes on. But look, questions.
Rapid fire.
We've had well over 400 in the chat. Still got over 400 in the chat right now. Thank you so much. Honestly, the conversation tonight around William Osula, opinions across the board, whether you want him, whether you don't, whether you're in the middle. Great stuff in the chat. Thank you to everyone contributing your questions. We're going to run through them in just a second. But we've really enjoyed the conversation tonight. It's been a good one. And this is how it should be. When something like this happens, if you want to come onto the chat and you want to vent and you want to put your opinion out, you want to question something, or you want to question something that we can maybe give our opinions to as an answer, this is the platform to do it, because we take what you say as valued as much as what we say. This is what it's about. Okay, about that connection between you as the people in the chat and as part of the panel. So Daz, throw some questions out there, fella.
Right, let's go to Luke, because he came in with a super chat for again as well. Thanks, Luke. He goes, I heard Vlak Demos only cost 2 million. Oddie, call him Oddie. It was Pillars who had to fork out the additional 20 million for. If our goalkeeper was Gaza, Pillars is his Jimmy Five Bellies. Right, interesting one, Luke. Right, I want to get this one because I thought this was interesting. I thought, Johnny 2 for Life, are you listed in our, are you tapping our phone calls? Johnny 2 for Life asks, Thiaw or Marcus Gay? That's who would you choose and why? Cheers.
Should we discuss this one or not?
Well, 9 comes in with his opinion. We could get, if we could get Mark Gay for cheaper than, no, he said we could get cheaper than that. Cheaper than Thiaw? I doubt it. I very much doubt it.
He might mean Gomez, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Possibly. I mean, as Daz just said, that we're not getting Mark Gay for cheap. Not after the Euros that he's had, and he's had a good season for Palace. They certainly finished the season well, and he's a very, very good centre back. Yeah. You want to put a price on it? How much do you reckon he's going to cost if you were to get someone like Mark Gay?
He has no release clause, I imagine.
No.
So
I've got
50.
a figure in my head.
I think the minimum price would be 50. I'd like to say 40 odds, but given that Euros, like you said, Pete, I think it would have to be minimum 50. I mean, we were linked with Joachim Andersen not all that long ago, and Gay's younger than Joachim Andersen, and he's just come off the back of a fantastic Euros. So, I think Joachim Andersen was valued at around 45 million. So therefore, I think Gay would have to be at least 50. To answer the question, would I prefer Gay or Malik Thiaw? If money was no object, I would prefer Gay. But I think if we're now with our PSR heads on, which we always have to have on, unfortunately, because we've got to be mindful that we don't want to break any PSR rules. If the reports are to be believed that we can get Malik Thiaw from anywhere between 25 and 30 million, I'd probably go with Malik Thiaw, purely because you're buying that raw potential, but you're also freeing up funds for that right wing position, and that's the only reason. You could end up getting Malik Thiaw for half the price of Mark Gay. I prefer Mark Gay, but Malik Thiaw would be significantly cheaper, and that's why I'd pick Malik Thiaw.
The one thing I'll add to that, by the way, first and foremost, I agree with you. My minimum that I think we would even get for someone like him is 50 million. That's the lowest for him. I think Palace would actually sell, and I think they'd probably be right in doing that. If we got him for cheaper, we'd be laughing at that. One thing I'll say is, if we were to sign Mark Gay, that's a massive statement. That's a massive statement from Newcastle United. That's what I'd say on the Mark Gay. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but if we were to go out there and pay the money to buy Mark Gay after the tournament he's had, and he's had a good end to the season after a bad injury, come back to Palace. Palace had a brilliant end to the season. They beat us and many other teams on the way to finishing quite strongly. That'd be a big statement of where Newcastle United is going. So I'll kind of end my opinion on that.
Pete, just before we go to Daz, dead quick one. And you've asked us this question before, but I can't remember you answering it. I don't remember your answer. If you were given the option of Mark Gay and then a very good right winger, or Malik Thiaw and an absolutely superb right winger, what would you pick?
And that right winger in question is the Chelsea lad, by the way. Noni.
Matthew, you can't ask him that. You'll just say
made it easy. You've made it easy. Hey, if you're throwing me Madueke my way, then I'm going to say I don't want Madueke. I'd rather their top right winger. But in all seriousness, it's a great question. I think, honestly, our right wing needs to be, I said it the other day, we need to complete our front three. And we need to get a right winger that's equally on the level of Gordon and
Jacob Murphy.
No. Yeah. Don't create that narrative, Naz. Don't do it. But no, in all seriousness, I think if we can get that level of quality of Gordon and Isak, I think we would have probably one of the most feared front threes in the Premier League. A front three that's probably in the top five, in my opinion. Depending on who it is, but if it's a top level right winger, it would solidify us as maybe top five best front threes in the Premier League, which is a fear in itself because we've already scored a shed load of goals last season without that right winger making a massive contribution. But if you add that contribution to that, you're laughing. On the flip side to that, if you get Mark Gay, you are building a very, very strong defensive unit. Mark Gay is 24 years old. If you get Malik Thiaw, 22 years old, you add that to Botman and Shaw and an experienced Burn. That's four very good centre-backs. What you're then doing is you're shifting Lloyd Kelly over to left-back. So then you've got Lloyd Kelly and Lewis Hall fighting out for things. If, given a scenario here, you keep Trippier and you've got Trippier and Tino with Pope in goal, you've not only got a strong forward line, but you've got a solid options in defence across the board. Then I've not even talked about the fact that you've got Joe Linton, Bruno, and Tonali as your midfield.
Dream.
You're looking at a team there, in all seriousness, you're looking at a team there that's fighting minimum top five. Minimum top five. And put it out there. If you look at that team in the way in which you sign it, whether you get Chow, whether you get Gay, whether you get a top right winger or a younger version of a right winger with maybe less experience, you've got a team there that can fight that top five.
Yeah.
It's exciting, boys. We have to remember, we don't need to go out and sign 7, 8, 9 players this summer like other teams have. Because other teams have lost way more players than us. A lot of other teams have so many more positions that they need to strengthen. And this is what I was going to talk about. Save it for another show. We're going to look at some other teams and what they've done this summer and maybe why they've done it. But we can save that for another time. There's a reason why they're having to sign so many players, and we don't necessarily have to.
And the other thing, like battling now for Nick Pope, you've got Johnny Greenwood there. John Ruddy. That's linking into you, Lee, and the question about how many ringers do you bring in next year. Be afraid.
Hey, they're not ringers anymore. That's back-to-back charity matches, so they're part of the team. Okay, if we can't bring them, You can't bring Johnny's brother. He's a one-man team. You keep him aside. We take that trophy home. It's as simple as that.
I think we're gonna have to do a job on Johnny's brother. I was thinking about that after the game, and I was quite annoyed because I thought to myself, maybe we should have focused a bit more on his brother. So beware. I think next game, we're gonna have to think about some serious man marking on Johnny's brother. Whether we'll be able to follow through with it, I don't know. But we know now we know now who the danger is. We know.
Well, we'll do a squad team briefing off air with the boy, all of his boys together before the.
We should just sign Johnny's brother. There you go.
Imagine he come to us.
Wouldn't that be a PIF thing? Just go signing. Best in class.
I'm sure Johnny's brother has a name, but we'll just keep calling him Johnny's brother. No, nice lad as well. Anyway, smash that like button as well. So if you believe Pete is 5'11", smash the like button. On the flip side, if you don't believe Pete is 5'11", also smash that like button. Thanks, Michael Palmer, for that one.
I'm gonna change that, Michael. I'm gonna change that. Smash the like if you think I'm 5'11", or smash the like if you think I'm 6 foot. Growing. Still young enough to grow, I think. Maybe not.
Right, well, answer Maggie's question here. Magpie's question here, Maggie. Guys, how do you get a membership? So if you click on that join button, there's a join button when you're looking on, maybe it's on my laptop at PC. Yes, that button there, join. And for $1.99 a month, you can become a Loaded Ultra. And you get in our prize draws as well. And get good that you listen to us on Spotify as well. Nice one. Shout out to anyone listening on Spotify or Amazon Music. It usually goes out the next day. Let's see, next.
You're going to want to be a member. Lots of exciting stuff coming up.
Speaking of brothers, there was another question about brothers here earlier. It was, let me see, where was it?
Yeah, there was.
It was about.
I remember seeing that.
Here. It's from Kenzie. Are you not getting your kid Lee back on at some point, Pete?
Oh, most definitely. I think he's either just about to or already on holiday. I've not spoken to him for a few days, so definitely. I know he's had a mad period with work, lots on with the Euros and stuff. Been doing lots of writing with regards to that, so he has been very, very busy. But anyone that's followed this channel for at least a good couple of years will know Lee's always more than happy to come on and talk all things Newcastle and French-related players, Italian-based players. He's got his knowledge in all those sections. Lee will be back on at some point, 100%.
Cool. Cheers, Jake, saying top show, boys. Also wanted to give out a shout out to Tampa TOON. Great to see you back in the chat, Tampa TOON. They gifted you guys five Loaded Ultra memberships. Thanks, Tampa TOON.
Thank you, Tampa.
Okay.
Top man.
Okay, we've been talking about Lee, so let's go to this one from Lee. What are you doing with Alex Murphy this season? I'm giving him a statue if he keeps carrying on like he's doing in preseason. And look at, we've already said if we buy Rafinha, he's on the bench. No, in all honesty, he's done really well ever since he came back from Sheffield Wednesday. That time he's progressed. So
this is Alex.
Oh, sorry, Alex Murphy. Sorry, Alex Murphy.
When you said a statue,
Jacob on the brain.
I thought you meant Alex Murphy in terms of a statue because
I did.
Because he's not been involved, has he?
Yeah. No, Alex Murphy. You're not talking about RoboCop either. Alex Murphy. He's people are saying he's injured. I know he was at the All Ireland final the other day, last Sunday in Dublin. So I'm also hearing talk about him going out on loan. So I don't know. Is he injured? Is he going out on loan? I don't know.
I heard something. I can't remember where I read it. I read somewhere. I'm not sure if it was the Athletic. I could be wrong here, but I did read somewhere that there was a consideration. Might have been the Athletic that there's a consideration that they're going to loan him out, and that's why he's not really been involved in pre-season. which, to be fair, Daz, you mentioned it. I think I said it the other day because you'd mentioned it. I think you might have even mentioned it, squad game. You said if he's not going to get first team football this season, he needs to go out on loan. So possibly the right thing all round, really.
I'll be saying the same thing about William Osula as well. If he's not getting games this season or getting minutes, then next season he'd have to go out and loan, because at that stage of your development, you need game time.
Yeah, definitely.
Agreed.
Okay, let me see. I got one more question. We'll wrap it up, guys, because this. Let me see.
By the look at Daz, just to say, Andrew Anderson has signed up to become a new member.
Cheers, Andrew. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew.
Find a good one. Look at this one. It's an interesting one from Michael. Should we read anything into the team photo of Longstaff's face? I don't have it, but from the game the other night, I think I remember seeing a sad looking face on him. All right, but you reading anything into that, lads? It could be just the way the heat as well. It could be.
He's probably roasting.
Honestly, boys, Longstaff's not going anywhere. He's not. He's staying at Newcastle.
No.
In my opinion, he's not going anywhere. I think if Anderson hadn't have left, I think Longstaff may have gone. But Anderson's generated the most money, so he had to go. Longstaff's not leaving.
Not leaving. Right. Johnny 2 for Life says Chris Hall looks after his subscribers with a very close shave. If you know, you know. Anthony, you want to tell us, Chris?
I thought you were commenting on the fact I've had a shave. I don't know.
How would he know? Right. For 20% off Manscaped products, use the code LOADED20. More coming up on Manscaped as we progress through August. But yeah, we'll walk through the products again that are available from Manscaped. But use that code LOADED20 for 20% off, plus free shipping as well. Also, as well, a shout out to the Radiator Shed. And where is it? Here it is. For 20% off all your radiator needs and services, contact Russ at theradiatorshed.com or telephone 077 666 04112. At least I hope that's the number. Right, that is it. We're available on all load of different people. I've mentioned Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. You know where you are on YouTube at the present, and also on all the socials, TikTok, Insta, well, not all of them, but some of them, and X, so you can find us there. That's it. We will be back as soon as there's more breaking news. This could come rapid now. There could be a burst of signings. That's what we hope for, at least. But I know when you play out with how do you like that, but someone has asked for the Isaac.
Love it.
So we're going to have to play the Isaac with the spelling mistake, but take no notice of that. Right. See you later, everyone. Good night.